Welcome to SPC Spotlight, the podcast where we highlight the people and platforms shaping the future of business from Sharjah and beyond. I'm your host, Leanne. Today, we're exploring one of the most overlooked drivers of growth for small businesses, customer conversations. Whether it's a product inquiry, a lead from an ad, or a returning customer with a quick question, every message is a chance to build trust or close a deal. But many businesses still rely on scattered tools, missed messages, and delayed replies. And that's where today's guest comes in. We're joined by Mr. Karthik, CEO of Gallabox, a platform that helps businesses manage and automate customer conversations on WhatsApp, from the first message to the final sale. This tool is designed to simplify the customer journey, and I'll let Karthik walk us through on how it all comes together. If you've ever lost a customer because of a late reply, struggled to keep up with messages, this episode is truly for you. Thank you for joining us here today.
Thank you.
How are you today?
It's so wonderful to be here today with you.
Same here. I'm excited to discuss about Gallabox. It's actually something our team actually uses as well. So I'm actually excited to know more about it rather than just being a user of my own on it.
I can't wait to get started.
Amazing. So, Karthik, you've had a long journey as a business leader and working across sales, marketing, and operations as a whole. What made you feel like this space was the next big opportunity in the business world?
Right. So if you cut this back to maybe about 10, 12 years ago, and which is when I started working with a lot of SMEs in India and in the US, I saw that there was a generational change in the way small to medium-sized businesses were operating.
Right.
In fact, what was happening is they began their journey in digitizing their operations, like all of their customer touch points, if you may, right? And I think that was a key lever in the way businesses started looking at technology very differently, and not just as another department, but as really as an enabler of growth.
Yes.
Right? And that also propelled along the pandemic, I'd say, that consumers started expecting small to medium businesses to be as good as big businesses, right?
Yeah.
So they were not forgiving.
Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly, yeah.
So I buy something, or I get served at a particular store or an outlet. I expect the similar service that I would get in a big brand, in a big store. So it put a lot of pressure on businesses to not just digitize, but also try and figure out how they can automate this, right? The other, I'd say, trend, right, that was kind of coming up, and we could see that, was that as they were digitizing, there was also an enormous focus on the part of the small to medium-sized businesses to build pipeline, to be able to grow their sales, right? And I think that's where the need for a strong technology that can help them grow their sales, that was truly felt. And I think if I go back and ask myself this question, right, why are we doing this? It is really trying to really figure out how we could use technology, in a way democratize technology and make what that was affordable just to a few, make it available to many.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I feel like, as what you said, it is right that even small to medium businesses had to have high expectations, where larger businesses were giving a certain way of communication to the client and everything, and then that just followed on to smaller medium businesses who are still growing, and they're expected to have the same reputation, and if they didn't, then that's it, that business was just not known, or people didn't share it, because word of mouth is very big when it comes to businesses. So I can see that happening a lot, and I've noticed that as well, especially through the pandemic. So the idea of Gallabox, how did this idea come up? Like, what kind of flicked the switch? That's like, okay, I want to call it Gallabox, and this is what I want to do with it.
Great question. So the word Gallabox, actually the origin for the name is cash register. So in most Indian languages, Galla really means the cash register.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
We didn't overthink.
I thought it means throat.
So that's Galla. This is Galla, right?
Okay.
So, and then we thought, hey, this is a box that any small to medium-sized business can deploy and grow their sales.
Exactly.
Right? So that's really how we thought of Gallabox as a brand name, and as how we could help small to medium-sized businesses be a catalyst in their journey as they begin to grow, right?
Right.
As we were thinking of democratizing technology, and that's a very that's like 10,000 feet above sea level kind of thought, right?
Yeah.
And we started looking at really how does that translate to, right, for these small to medium sized businesses.
Okay.
And we understood that the key concern is how do I generate more leads and how do I convert those leads to deals?
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
So we said, hey, let's anchor around the leads to deal, all of those touch points.
Okay.
And that's really how we started understanding that the sales and marketing pieces of a small to medium sized business is where we can make the most impact.
Right.
And that's really how Gallabox was formed. And then we said, okay, so we draw a boundary and we say, we do everything that can help them build their pipeline.
Right.
We do everything that can help them convert their leads to deals.
Exactly.
And we do everything that can help them convert their conversations to transactions. Right?
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah,
That's
it's
a very good
play
way to
of
put it.
words, if you may.
Yeah. No, I love that. I actually love that.
Yeah.
So something I was wondering is, WhatsApp is becoming a very popular tool for business communication.
Right.
Hence why you've got WhatsApp Business now. So that's a way of separating your business life and your personal life and not everything being on the same, you can say, platform. They've separated it. So what makes it a better option compared to other channels? Because, in the beginning, there was a very big controversy between using WhatsApp for businesses and you should be using email or you should be using a separate platform like Microsoft Teams. But now the comfort of WhatsApp is there.
Right.
And I believe Gallabox is on WhatsApp because I know my team is using it on WhatsApp. And it's very convenient for us because some people that are on the go, you don't have time to write an email. You don't have time to open your Microsoft Teams and hear all those notifications coming in when you're trying to answer one chat. So how do you honestly think that is a better option compared to other channels? That's why you've implemented it.
So consumers expect to see and interact with these businesses on a rich mobile experience.
Yeah.
They prefer the mobile app, but there's only so much that you could download on a mobile phone.
100%.
Of course. And then businesses have always remained focused on, hey, let me build a mobile app, or let me get my consumers to the website,
Exactly.
or let's send them SMS text messages or send them emails, right? But then the hard truth was that consumers were not on these platforms. Consumers were on WhatsApp and they were on Facebook and they were on Google or in all of those platforms. So I think at a very core, the thought is, hey, don't persuade consumers to come to where you are. Try and go to where they are. And
That's a very
WhatsApp is
good
where
way
they
to put it,
live.
yeah.
And in most countries around the world, today, WhatsApp is truly outside of WeChat, of course, in China.
Yes, I was just going to mention that. I was struggling with WeChat when I was in
Yeah.
China recently.
So you were, yeah.
Yeah, I was in China recently and they have WeChat as their form of communication where they use it for everything. It's not just communication. They even, how we have Instagram reels and videos, they have the same thing on there.
Yeah.
They've got payment gateway is on WeChat. Everything is on WeChat and Alipay. I found that a bit annoying because my card was not working on WeChat. So that was a struggle for me.
Yeah. So
But
it's a super app, right?
It's a super app.
Yeah.
Basically.
So which means it's WeChat has built an ecosystem
Yeah.
where all of these small applications can rest in there. So you can order flowers, you can hail a cab, you can send money, you
Exactly.
can order food, you can do pretty much everything,
Yeah.
right? WhatsApp, to a large degree, is also a super app because what it is enabling businesses to do
100%.
is offer a great mobile experience without the need for a mobile app,
Yeah.
get to consumers and be with them where they are without having to have them move to SMS and email and so on and so forth, right?
Right.
So it's the platform where it's the most ubiquitous platform outside of WeChat in China,
Yeah.
right? So it just makes a lot of sense for businesses to be on that platform because given its ubiquity, yeah.
I think that's 100% because nowadays everyone is building apps, trying to market these apps, trying to get people on these apps. And yes, it can work, but then it takes time to work. Like I know there was one food delivery company in Dubai, which is a grocery delivery company, and it launched many years ago and it only really made an impact onto the market much later on. So it was a very again, it's about customer experience on the app. But when you're already approached to where the customer already is and comfortable, it's kind of like you already know what to do and you adapt more quickly.
Exactly.
You adapt more quickly. Amazing. So many SMEs lose business because they can't respond quickly or they struggle to even keep a track of leads. Why do you think this happens so much?
Right. So I used to work in a local services marketplace company. I helped build that company from like pre-revenue to I spent about 10 years with this company.
Amazing. Oh, wow.
And it's a local services marketplace
Okay.
it's still operating in India and in the US.
Okay.
And we were a marketplace, which means that we would generate leads or rather requirements from consumers on one side,
Okay.
convert those as leads, and then ship them off to businesses who would pay us for those leads.
Okay.
So, and we were making money generating these leads. Everything was happy. Everybody was happy. And then we realized that some businesses were very successful and some were not so successful.
Okay.
I mean, typically like you'd see them on a bell curve, you know. And we understood that the ones who are successful with those leads are the ones where they were able to have conversations with those leads. Long story, but the point is this. You know, when you do marketing and when you generate these leads,
Yeah.
it's like an iceberg phenomenon, right? You only see
100%.
what the eye can actually
You
see,
don't know
right?
what's going on inside.
There's a lot going on underneath. So which means all of the work that a business really puts in is really after the lead is generated,
Yeah.
right? So that brings us to the next point, right? So a conversion requires a conversation,
Yeah.
right? And that's really where they build pipeline, and then that lead then gets to a deal.
Right.
So typically businesses, I don't know, it could be because of lethargy or poor systems and processes, right? Or the enormous dependence on people, right? On just human beings to be able to take things forward.
Yeah.
So we realized that, you know, we got to make sure that they have a great platform,
Yeah.
right, where they can do this well enough, and to be able to automate much of these so that no lead goes unanswered.
Yeah.
Because the lead is generated leaving no stone unturned. So there's so much of hard work that goes on
100%,
behind all of that, right?
100%.
So
Perfect. I think when it comes to even lead generation, it's about being on it. It's about being on it. And as you said, it needs to have that conversion.
right.
And there's so many elements that go into it. And it's about now trying to make it easier. Because so many are left unread, or they're not able to keep a track because either there's so many coming in, or there isn't a process to handle them correctly, or to handle them one by one. It's just kind of jumping to the biggest one. You want to jump to the biggest one, but you're not looking at the small ones that can generate more. So there's many areas when it comes into lead generation and people actually struggling to make sure all of them are not left unturned. So I've seen that. I've
Yeah.
seen that a lot. So for someone who's completely new to Gallabox, let's say, how would you explain what it does and how it fits into the business's daily workflow? Because, you know, you come into work and you've got a bunch of leads. How would Gallabox fit into their daily workflow?
Right. So I'll split this into two parts.
Okay.
So part one is if the business has a lot of incoming leads,
Yeah.
right? And the part two is the business has to generate new leads from within, right? From
Right.
they have a database of numbers or so on.
Yeah.
So typically, the incoming leads come through multiple marketing channels, right? So you're advertising, you're running multiple campaigns, and what could have happened in an earlier era is
Yeah.
that a click would have moved from, let's say, a landing page to a database like a CRM,
Right.
And then the sales team would have been told, hey, just call all these leads, right?
Yeah.
And the sales team would have been measured on, hey, how many leads did you call? How many of these leads have you really touched? And then mark them as hot, warm, cold, and so on and so forth, right?
Exactly.
What it does today, you know, if you flip this whole problem, what it does today is it actually successfully converts a click to a conversation,
Okay.
right? So which means in a very asynchronous manner, the conversation is now with the consumer, right? And the power to be able to manage that conversation, you know, stop or continue and so on is all on the part of the consumer, right?
Yeah.
So it's a very not so on your face way in which you're getting a consumer's contact, right? The earlier era, you know, marketing folks would have done everything to be able to just get a mobile number.
Right. I've done that. So I know just to get a meeting.
Just get a meeting.
Even
yeah.
just getting a meeting was
Yeah.
like a prize.
Right.
And now, because, you know, when people already know the product, they want to have the meeting.
Correct.
They're okay with having the meeting.
I think the insight, Leon, is that consumers don't want to be sold to, right? They want to be able to have the options available for them, so they get to choose, they get to pick.
100%.
Hard selling is no longer a virtue, right?
It's not, yeah.
I mean,
It's about you give an option,
Yeah.
you explain it. It's about how you inform it.
Exactly.
And you let them do what they want.
Yes.
Basically, you let them do what they want with the information that you're giving them. But it's not like, I think the easiest way to do it is not directly putting it in their face that 1, 2, 3, this is what we do, 1, 2, 3. It's more of, well, this is what we do. This is how we can make it better. This
Correct.
is what you can do to make it better. And then you have your comparisons. So I feel like nowadays when it comes to sales, it's more of a conversation more than a sales pitch.
Absolutely.
It's more a conversation, because I sat with somebody very recently who basically sold himself. He sells services, but the confidence that he had in himself, it was a conversation. And it makes you think, it's not a sales pitch, but he sold me something that I don't need.
Correct.
He sold me something that I actually already have, but I would be convinced to go back to him to ask him more, to get more information.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. So the point is that a click can be converted to a conversation on WhatsApp, and which means you have far better conversion rates.
Yeah.
Right. What could have been remaining on the web,
100%.
you're moving it now to
100%.
WhatsApp, and then
Where you can't miss it.
You can't miss it.
You can't miss it.
And then I know the number. I now have the number verified, and the name attached to that number is a name.
Exactly.
And then a conversation has already started. So that's all I need as a marketer. It's like it's the marketer's delight.
It really does, because if everything's already connected at one place, it even makes it easier for you to actually respond, because you've got all the information. You just have to respond. It's also like, I remember back in the day, you get the information, you take it to your phone, you type in the number, you save the number, you save this, you do that, and then something comes up. You get completely distracted, and then you forgot about the lead.
Yeah.
So now when it's coming to your WhatsApp, you see that, okay, this person needs to be answered. This person wasn't answered. You're actually able to keep an easier track. Just like on your regular messages every day, you know who you didn't answer. Maybe you're purposely ignoring them, but you know who you didn't answer.
Right.
So it's the same thing like on WhatsApp Business. It's the same thing when you're having something like Gallabox, where you can see who has not been spoken to yet.
Right. So the inbound leads, the inbound conversations are, of course, they're the lifeline of every business, right?
Yeah.
Businesses really exist. They open the shop every morning or the office every morning.
Exactly.
To get the inbound conversations.
Yeah.
So what Gallabox does with a variety of features, it helps move these leads to deals as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Right. The second thing it does, and while it helps move the lead to deal, the platform does it very smartly, where it tries to understand that what part of this process can be automated, so that you really don't need to have a salesperson answer the mundane
Sitting,
questions.
yeah.
Like, let's say you're selling real estate, right? I mean, the questions can be like 7 of them could be like the most often asked questions, like where is it located, how big is it, what's the price,
Exactly.
when will it be done, what's whatever, right? So the mundane questions can be answered. We use AI to be able to detect what those questions could be and answer those questions before we ensure that the lead goes to a salesperson, because
100%.
a salesperson is supposed to do sales,
Yeah.
not answer mundane questions.
Yeah. They're meant to
that's-
convince
Yeah.
from the questions that they've got.
Correct.
Yeah.
correct.
Exactly.
Like you said, it's a dialogue, right?
Yeah.
So and when the salesperson is seeing the context being carried, she's in a better position to be able to convert that. She's in a better position to be able to serve the consumer.
Exactly.
The second use case is what we think of it as an outbound use case, right? So let's say you have a bunch of numbers that you want to be able to market to, right? So what Gallabox does is it helps small to medium-sized businesses run targeted campaigns,
Yeah.
right? So which means you can let them know what your offers are. You can let them know, let's say you want to educate somebody about a particular sector and so
Right.
on, right? And then move that, kind of nudge them gently one at a time onto the pipeline. right?
Exactly.
So just to summarize, a lot of that we do is about inbound marketing, where leads come in and we help convert those leads to deals. And the other one is outbound marketing, where if you just have base numbers, you could try to kind of convert those into potential customers.
100%.
Yeah.
Easily. You can. So the platform includes, chatbots and campaign broadcasts, as you mentioned. Which ones do most customers usually start with? And what do you recommend as your own personal recommendation?
Yeah. Great. I think today, over the past 4 years that we have kind of been working very religiously on the platform, it's actually expanded to a point where it's today, it can mean a lot of things to a lot of people.
100%.
Right? So it's a toolkit. Right?
Yeah.
It's a productivity multiplier toolkit, right? So businesses come and say, hey, I want to build a flow with which I can get appointments, or I want to build a flow, or I want to use Gallabox to be able to convert my leads, or I want to be able to do something else, right? Like serve my existing customers and see if I can do cross-sell and upsell better and so on.
Right.
What is working for our customers the most is first take charge of the inbound conversations.
Yeah.
Right? Because consumers have jumped various hoops and obstacles to be able to get to a point where they're having the conversation with the business.
Yeah.
So they become the lowest hanging fruit, and therefore we encourage our businesses to be able to leverage the platform to be able to take charge of the inbound conversations.
Right.
And that's one thing that we put all of our weight behind.
Okay.
Right. And then, of course, we help them run those campaigns. So we help them build, let's say, lookalike audiences and say, hey, those who converted for these particular campaigns, let's see if there are anybody else who can look like that, and then run campaigns on the existing base that they have. Yeah.
Right. Right. That's a very good way to put it, to be honest, to explain to somebody on what they do, because when they come off to a new platform and they come to something new, they know what it is, but they need to know what's best for them.
Yeah.
That's what they need to know,
Right.
what's best for them. So you work with companies across several industries, from what I'm listening to. And are there any sectors where Gallabox makes an immediate difference across all these industries?
We've seen, and in fact, these customers that we serve around the world, especially in the Middle East here, we see that a lot of the customers come from services sectors.
Right.
And I mean, it augurs well why they're coming from the services sector, because in the services sector, a conversation is critical
Yeah.
to conversion, right?
100%.
Because what the services companies are selling is a combination of skill and time.
Right.
That's what they're selling, right? So we help them kind of modernize, streamline those conversations better. Whereas in the case of a product commerce company, they're selling a product, so which means the need to speak is far lower.
Right.
So to answer your question, healthcare, real estate, travel, professional services, these are some of the services kind of categories
That would make an immediate.
that make where the impact is felt like immediately.
Yeah. I think that's a good way, because those are the most, you can say, these services are usually what you have on a daily basis, you could say. So it's basically everyone's implementing Gallabox at the end of the day. Everybody needs Gallabox. So let's say a startup finds Gallabox and wants to try it out. Let's say something like a really, really small startup. What's the best way for them to actually get started with this tool?
Right. To begin with, we have a very seamless, friction-free sign-up process.
Oh, perfect. I hate sign-up processes.
So you don't need to be trained and then become some certified professional and so on,
You
right?
just 1, 2, 3, and then you're in.
It's a very simple sign-up process. And then you get a 7-day free trial.
Okay.
And then you can get started. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, and then depending on the sector or the industry that you are from, the sign-up process actually walks you through it and asks you really what are your goals and what are you looking for to achieve, therefore.
Exactly.
And it helps put them in the right slot and helps them get started with the right set of features. Yeah.
Perfect. So something, as I was mentioning earlier, is that my team does use Gallabox. So for example, Gallabox is actually a part of the whole SPC ecosystem. It's a part of the whole SPC free zone ecosystem. And what has your experience been like working with SPC? Because I know Gallabox has made my life much easier.
Right.
Honestly speaking, it has made it much easier because there's some questions you don't know. There's some updates that you want. And it's much easier using Gallabox to find out these very little nitty-gritty updates that maybe it's going to take you ages to go and call somebody else, find out the update, find out for yourself. I'm always driving. I've always got the bad luck of always driving somewhere. And when I get to a location, I don't have necessarily the time to think, okay, I need to go and access this platform. I need to go into this and find out, da, da, da. I just simply message on WhatsApp, just like I was messaging anybody else. Okay, this is what I need, and I'm getting the information. So what has your experience been like working with SPC Free Zone?
It's been, the experience of working with SPC Free Zone has been fantastic.
Glad to hear that.
What we have noticed over the past few months is that there are free zones.
Okay.
There are multiple free zones. We understand that. But the SPC Free Zone stands out given its network, given its ability to be able to build an ecosystem for small to medium-sized businesses, for companies who have aspirations to set up business in UAE, specifically Sharjah and beyond. It's been an exhilarating experience working with SPC. And here's what we're doing to kind of cement our relationship, to strengthen our relationship with SPC Free Zone. We're offering Gallabox free for a year for all businesses.
Oh, really?
That SPC Free Zone.
Oh, they didn't tell us that part.
So we offer 1 year credits.
Okay.
So these are credits that give out like 100% free.
Okay.
So you get onboarded, and
Okay.
then you have a plan specifically for the SPC Free Zone
Okay.
customers.
Right.
And it gives them access to Gallabox and therefore WhatsApp free for 1 year. And depending on what their requirements are, then they can choose to upgrade after a year.
After a year. You've got 1 year. Use it wisely.
Use it wisely, yeah.
So actually, as you mentioned, so for SPC Free Zone license holders that are listening, how could they benefit from Gallabox? The license holders, more than just us as people using it on our ecosystem.
Absolutely. So the free plan specifically designed for the SPC license holders, the SPC Free Zone license holders, gives them access to the features of Gallabox to get started
Right.
for free for a year. And then when they choose to upgrade, they choose to upgrade. So the idea is to, we keep talking about democratizing, evangelizing the use of technology, specifically WhatsApp and Gallabox.
Yeah.
This is the way we'd like to demonstrate that. And we would love to work with SPC Free Zone and make that a reality for all of the
100%.
license holders of SPC Free Zone.
100%. And it's nice knowing that even our customers as license holders are getting the benefit of Gallabox, even though they're getting it as well. So it's like an extra plus point when they're buying a license when
Absolutely.
they're from SPC.
Yeah.
So as you know, AI has jumped in.
Oh, yeah.
And they've jumped in very big. And they're just growing every single day. There's something new. There's something going on. And it's a bit concerning. And everyone's a bit concerned about their jobs as well. So where do you see Gallabox in the next, let's say, 2 to 5 years, especially with like the rapid increase of AI and automation that's going on in the world? I think AI came into effect back in maybe the end of 2022, I believe. And it just started going from there. And now to the point where it's everywhere. It's on WhatsApp. They have AI on WhatsApp. I haven't used it yet.
Yeah.
But how do you see Gallabox going in the next 2 to 5 years with this?
Yeah, I think AI is really the means to the end. We see this as part of our toolkit.
Okay, positive way to look at it.
Yeah, so we see it as not as really as a disruption, but as a way in which we can help achieve our goals,
100%.
help our customers achieve their goals.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to helping businesses convert their leads to deals and get their cash register ringing.
Okay.
So we think all the time as to how can we do that at lesser and lesser cost.
Right.
So, and we started thinking of it as a way in which we can automate much of their customer touchpoint processes.
Okay.
Right? Using conversations on WhatsApp.
Right.
AI just helps us kind of take that several notches higher, several notches higher, and be able to do this automation in a far more seamless manner, right?
Right.
What it is also doing is the use of the popularity of ChatGPT and other AI tools is actually helping a new generation of consumers embrace AI in a way in which it works for them.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm just, for an example, right? So let's say you call somebody and you call a number and then you happen to speak to an AI agent. Maybe a generation ago, you would have said, why am I talking to a machine? Right?
Yeah. 100%.
But now it's like, yeah, okay, I want to get my job done. So what if I speak to a machine, right?
Right? And
I
it
mean,
gets it done.
10 years ago or 15 years ago, you text a friend and say, hey, I'm in town. I think the friend would have said, why can't you call me? Why are you texting me? Right? I mean, this is a
I still
different
get that. I still deal with that. Why didn't you call me? I would have
Yeah.
received the message.
Yeah, I think what's AI is doing today with all of these tools and all of the investment that companies,
They
large
put into
companies are
it,
making, is really making AI more accessible to the lay consumers. And what Gallabox is doing is using AI to be able to meet our automation goals, right? Because no business wants to add more people linear to growth,
Right.
right? Because talent can be put to better use, right? In different parts of the organization, right?
Exactly.
So, in 2 to 5 years, we see Gallabox becoming an AI-powered sales and marketing agent on WhatsApp and other multiple other platforms. In fact, pretty soon we will also be launching Instagram.
Amazing.
So, which means, which means a lot of discovery of products and services happen on Instagram,
That's
and the
very
conversation can move to WhatsApp, right? So think a way in which small to medium-sized businesses can actually leverage the power of AI, marry that with messaging, right, and
Yeah.
with platforms like Instagram.
Exactly.
And truly, then that's when democratizing all of this conversational commerce tools can become a better reality, a bigger reality.
Yeah.
Right. So that's where Gallabox is heading over the next 2 to 5 years.
That's amazing. It's basically using what you've got to make it grow further.
Yes.
100%. 100%. And I think that's a good way to do it. It's not a competitor, it's a help.
Yes.
It's something that's going to help you, and you're using it in the way that it's not a threat. It's not going to be a threat.
Yeah, as they say, if you don't use AI, there's a stronger likelihood of losing a job. So AI is here to stay, right? And some folks say it's
not
like
gonna go.
oxygen and electricity
Yeah.
and so on. I don't know about all that, but it's truly a game changer, right? I mean, I use AI in multiple ways in which it helps me improve my own productivity.
100%.
Right.
Yeah. You
So-
learn from it as well. Like sometimes I'll say paraphrase my message.
Yeah.
And it will give me a much smarter way of saying my message
Right.
or writing a post or anything. And it gives you an idea, oh yeah, I could have said this. I sometimes feels like it even improves my vocabulary.
It does.
Because
It
it's
does.
writing it for you and you're visually seeing it and you're remembering. And then later on, it actually does get implemented into yourself. So it's more like it's not just you're being lazy and you're using it.
Right.
You're learning from it very slowly, where because you're using it on either whether it's a daily basis or whether it's once in a blue moon, you learn from it. Nowadays, people are using AI to just get simple questions asked.
Right.
Where's the best place to travel in this time of year? No, don't go here. Why? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I promise you, if I was to find out the same information online, I'd have to go through, I think, at least 5 different sources to get the most reliable answer.
Right.
But I know that AI is going and finding that for me, making it into a compiled message and sending it to me, and it's almost been never wrong.
Yeah.
So it's more of like, okay, well, you've got a tool that's doing everything right. Let me use it. Let me leverage it to Gallabox
Right.
and make it better,
Yeah.
basically.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
100%.
Amazing. So, Karthik, I really want to thank you for joining us today and sharing your story alongside how Gallabox is helping businesses communicate better. It's smart. It's a very practical solution in my eyes. As I told you, we're using it and it's working. And, that it's a practical solution that more entrepreneurs, as you've mentioned, and teams should actually consider using more than your daily of what you would actually use. You can now have a smarter system and make it better. So, to our viewers, if you're looking to automate your WhatsApp conversations and improve how you manage leads and customers, visit Gallabox.com to learn more. And don't forget to follow or subscribe to SPC Spotlight for more conversations with people building the future of business. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you in the next one.